Welcome everybody back to another week of Embracing the Suck, Developing Resilience in 2020. I am glad you are here with us. And I have with me today, I'm going to just go ahead and say it, soon to be Dr. Harry Titus. He's working on his doctoral degree at Gardner-Webb University. He works at Elon University. I'll let him tell you all a little bit about himself here in a minute. But Harry and I go back to, I don't even know when Harry was a student. Harry used to be a student at Coastal Carolina University. Now he's out there like changing students' lives. I remember when he was a tour guide here. He did everything under the sun here. Fantastic. He worked at Coastal for a little bit with me. Kind of funny, actually. As a new professional, Harry started working here and worked in our office doing training, helping us with training and development, and came up with this idea of us supporting and creating a program for emerging and new professionals. And then about 2 months after he came up with that, I guess the program wasn't good enough because he went and left to go to Elon University. That's Harry and I's background. I know he's doing wonderful things at Elon. I'll let him tell you a little bit about that, and then we'll jump into some of our questions today.
Yeah, thanks, Nick, for having me join this. Awesome. I've been sort of watching late, but I've been following back up and watching all the lives, and I've enjoyed them. So I appreciate you for allowing me to join you today. Yeah, as Nick mentioned, I got my Bachelor's of Arts and Master's of Education from Coastal Carolina University. Had the opportunity of working at Coastal for a little while in the Dean of Students office as a case manager. As he mentioned, we started working on the Emerging Professionals program, and actually 2 years today was when I started at Elon, which is so cool. And so I currently serve as the Assistant Director for Student Care and Outreach in the Office of the Dean of Students here at Elon. And I'm currently getting my Doctorate of Education from Gardner-Webb University in Organizational Leadership. So hopefully before 30, I have my doctorate as the goal. So let's hope so. But my work has been this. So I work I work with a lot of our crisis management. I work with supporting students who are dealing with whether that's mental health concerns, medical concerns, academic concerns, whatever it is. I work to provide them with resources. However, this semester, because we're in the era of COVID-19, my office has been tasked with all things COVID. So we are doing all of our initial COVID outreach. We are doing daily contact with students that are in quarantine. And so we're leading the efforts for our university around COVID response for all 7,000 plus students. And so it's been a fun semester, to say the least.
I love when people, this is one of my favorite things that people do. I do it myself. And I think I probably said it all the time. Whenever we're going through all this crap, which 2020 has been like the model for adversity, right? Like we thought we needed to develop resilience before. And then I like to say 2020 said, hold my beer.
Oh yeah.
And when it happens, we're like, it's been fun. We use fun in like the most sarcastic way possible. You know, I'm struggling with something. I'm like, this is fun times, which I find that comical.
Yeah.
When someone
does. I think it's embracing it. I mean, trying to find ways to embrace it, right? And so I intentionally use fun because I think we have to figure out how to embrace, again, the suck, right? What this is all about. And so, yes, 2020 was like, you thought it was going to be perfect vision 2020, but no, it's actually going to be the opposite. You're going to have cataracts, you're going to have bad vision and everything. And then we're here, right? And so figuring out how do we embrace that and sort of find the small areas to find positivity and, you know, the fun and whatever.
Yeah, it's fun. You just gotta smile. Sometimes you just kind of gotta smile through it all and figure out how do we embrace it. That's really what it is. You know, it is resilience. I think starts with that embrace of understanding this is where we are. This is some crap. Like I don't like this. I don't enjoy this at all. But how do we grow from it? So how are your students doing? How are you doing? Obviously, you're in the center of COVID. Your job. You know, when we look at college campuses, and I have had a variety of different professionals on this interview every week. Your job supports students through adversity. Like that's your job description, right? Like if we had to simplify, you support students through adversity, whatever that may be. How are your students doing right now? How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been tough on our students here at Elon, specifically because Elon is a true residential campus. Like our bread and butter is a residential campus, allowing students to get and gain, hands-on experiences in every way, shape, and form. And so having to really rethink that has been super interesting for our students. We did have all of our students come back this semester. So we have all of our students on campus. They did, some of them, obviously they had the option of opting to be fully remote, if they had concerns, but for the most part, our students are here. And so, however, they're not able to get the same experience, right? So they're not able to get the experience of going to an event with 200 plus people or joining clubs in person and meeting friends and building those relationships in person. I also have the opportunity of being a first year instructor and an academic advisor for about 15 first year students as well. And so a lot of my time has been really working to help my students sort of revision what their first semester will look like. But our students have struggled in that because a lot of our students truly come to Elon for the residential, community feel that they want, and they're not getting that this semester. And so I've really been working to figure out ways that, to help my students figure out ways to virtually still get experiences, but also finding your small group of people that you trust, that you can be around, and hang with those people, and recognizing that if we do what we're supposed to do now, there's hope that we can then get back to some sense of what it was before. And so really encouraging them to do what's right now. That's not always easy for especially first year students, right, that didn't get a prom, didn't get a graduation, right? This is their first time away from their parents. They've been stuck in the house with their parents since March. And so it's harder for them to do, to follow all the rules. And so really working to get them to understand the importance of let's do what's right now. Let's embrace where we are now. And hopefully if we do what's right now, we can get to some sense of normalcy, hopefully in your next year or so. So that's really what we've been doing, is just trying to encourage them to live in the moment and do what's right now.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's really cool that you are also, too, one of the things you said that really stood out to me was you're encouraging students to find their people, right? Whether this was COVID or not, that's what we want students to be doing, is to be creating, and that's part of what makes someone resilient, is when we've got those people around us, we don't feel like we're alone. That, I've got people that, share some of maybe the same beliefs as me, some of the same interests, maybe different beliefs and interests, but, we respect each other, we like each other, we can depend on each other. And it's cool that you're working to do that even during COVID. And I would probably say especially during COVID, because there's more barriers to it.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think also, right, I've been really telling them this is your time to build true and authentic relationships and really join things that you're really passionate about, and not just put your name on a piece of paper, because it's different, right? And so I think pre-COVID, right, students would come in, meet these people here, join this club, join this organization, sign up for this, but that's not reality anymore. And so this is providing them the opportunity to truly be intentional about what I'm going to join and what I'm going to be a part of, because I recognize that, my time is truly, it's truly special now, because we're in such a crazy time. And so when I join a club, it needs to be something that I'm truly passionate about, because when it's virtual, for the most part. And so if I'm not really into it, it's probably going to be boring if I join a virtual setting. So really encouraging students, take this time to be intentional about the friendships you're making, about the clubs you're joining, and about your path and your to creating your legacy at your institution. You can be more intentional during this COVID time. And so that's also been my selling point. Let's be intentional about what we're joining, and we're not just joining things that so that our signature in our email is longer than a CVS receipt. We're actually trying to be intentional about what we're doing. So.
Longer than a CVS receipt. You know that we've all had those students when oh goodness, so they put their resume in their their signature. That's a whole nother discussion. That's fantastic. So now in COVID times and even pre-COVID times, you're trying to help students to be resilient. We're talking about how they can be authentic and intentional now, find support. What else do you do? What's going on at Elon? Is there anything you would offer as guidance to other professionals even?
Yeah.
When it comes to developing resilient students, what works well? You know, you're in the center of it all the time.
Yeah. I think something else that we've been noticing this semester as well is that students on our campus especially have been wanting to do more activism, right? Be more active in the community. Obviously, we just went through an election, but not only that, like pre-election, there's a lot happening in the world, in the media, and our students really wanted to get involved. And so shout out to our Center for Leadership at Elon, who's been doing a lot of virtual, they've been doing a Good Trouble series and really teaching students how to be true activists especially in the era of COVID. So how can we really utilize our social media platforms, or how can we utilize our voices on the platforms that we have to really become active, whether that's, you know, politically or whatever that is, right? So whatever you have a passion about right now, how can you truly take this time to get involved and be active? And so our Center for Leadership, they've been doing a Good Trouble series, which has been amazing, to teach our students what is good trouble and how do you really get involved and push the needle right now during this time. And so that's been really cool. But in addition to that, like I've been telling a lot of students I've been working with, you can't truly be resilient if you're not taking care of yourself. And so really pushing things like counseling. The great thing about counseling right now, teletherapy and telehealth is a thing. So you don't even have to leave your space. You can get counseling from your home, from your apartment, from your room, you know, and so really encouraging people, like if you want to do good, if you want to be resilient, if you want to be an activist, you still have to take care of yourself. And so whether that's, you know, seeking therapy, seeking, you know, people, you know, having people that you can talk to, like, you know, really reimagining your circle right now. And like, do you have people that's really there in your circle to tell you what's right, to tell you when you're wrong, to hold you accountable as well? And so, but really taking this time, also recognizing that just because we're in a pandemic, that does not mean you need to write a book, you need to publish a few, like this can truly be your time to rest and prepare yourself to do better in the things that you were doing pre-COVID. Because I think a lot of people are watching social media and we're seeing people starting businesses and write books and do all of these things. And that's forcing other people to think that they need to do that. But that is not, I think that puts a burden on you that you don't need during this time. And so really, you know, I'm encouraging self-care and peace during this time, and whatever that looks like for you, right? And so I've been really pushing that on our students as well. Like, take this time to really reimagine who you are and what is your purpose and your goals. And so that's really, for me, a part of being resilient is really also reflecting on who you are and what you need to be healthy.
Love it, Harry. All of that is fantastic. I feel like all those things that you just said in terms of how we can help students be resilient, I want every single person who is on this or who goes back and watches this afterwards to go back and just imagine that all of those things he said are being said to you as a professional as well. Mm-hmm. I see all of us as professionals thinking like, all right, what should my side hustle be? Like, what should I be doing? Should I be taking cooking classes? Like, what else do I need to do? And even the idea of reflecting on who you are, right? Like, that's something we should be challenging our students to do, is to not figure out necessarily all the time, what are you going to do when you graduate, but what do you value and who are you? What are your beliefs? We should be able to answer those as well. And we should be able to share them with our students. You know, we have students to do all these things, right? Stop comparing yourself and stop using social media for negative things. And then I go on social media and I see us as professionals getting into the same arguments and not always good trouble, right? You've got this whole series, and how many professionals that are watching this or will watch it listen to the exact same things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Of joy. Comparison really prevents being resilient, because we sit here and we compare my crap to your crap, and it's all crap. Adversity isn't like this scale, like where either you have more or less than me. You've experienced adversity in some way, shape, or form. And I hear students say it all the time. I don't know if you do, but they think like, well, this isn't that bad. Well, compared to what? Is often want to say, like, it's bad for you right now. That doesn't mean it's not an issue, because it's not as bad as what your friend went through.
Exactly. No, I agree with that 100%. 100%. I think a lot of folks have been too focused on trying to compare their situation to other people's situation in this time, when this pandemic and everything we are dealing with has impacted everyone differently. And so I think that's why it's important to reflect on you as a person first, and your values, before you go out and say, well, this is not too bad. Well, yeah, for you, but like, there are folks that are losing their jobs. There are folks that are, have lost people during this pandemic. There are folks that are really struggling with, mental health issues during this pandemic. And so we can't, it's not a one size fits all during this time. And so I've been encouraging folks, like, reflect on yourself and figure out, well, if it's not impacting you as bad, how can you then help someone else? Not compare yourself to someone else, but how can you actually help someone else that may be struggling during this pandemic? So
absolutely. And that idea of helping other people, that really truly helps us to be resilient. When we take the time to give to others, I think that truly helps develop resilience in our students. Which is why I really, really like that, your Center for Leadership and Service, is that the right name for it?
Center for Leadership.
They're doing a series on good trouble and activism. Like, that's fantastic. And, that's also a great example of adapting too, because I know a lot of colleges and a lot of places where they're saying, well, we can't do civic engagement right now because we can't go into the community. Right. But it's like, how do we adjust with what we have? And I'm curious, is there anything else you yourself have done to adapt? You've given some really good examples so far. Anything else that you're like, I need to share this. This is something really cool that we're doing, or advice give to higher ed
I think for sure. I think this time has also allowed me to really value friendships in a way that I haven't before. Like, so pre-COVID, I would check in with my friends here and there, but we've been all more intentional on, like, all right, we're scheduling this Zoom call, or we're going to meet, we're going to talk tonight. And so I think it's allowed me to value people in a different way during this time as well. But I think as a professional, I guess, it has allowed me to figure out, for me, my passion again, sort of refuel my passion, because I realized that I was sort of trying to pour from an empty cup these last few months. And so really figuring out, how do I fill my cup and then begin to give from my overflow? So, right, like, I wanted my cup to overflow so that I can give from my overflow, so that I'm still whole and full at the end of the day. And so I've been really focusing on myself as a professional, and how do I, come to work whole so that I can give from my overflow. And so what that means is really, finding more time, throughout my day to be alone and to reflect on who I am, taking care of myself, right? Getting back to regular therapy appointments myself, finding ways to just be more healthy and whole. And again, protecting my peace. And so, meaning, if I know I don't have 100% that day, like, being honest and upfront with my supervisor, like, you're going to get 60% today, and I'm sorry, the other 40 is just going to need to wait, And so just being more honest and upfront, and recognizing that I can't be the end all be all for everything, because I really need to be able to pour, give from my overflow, so that I can still be whole when I get home, for my mentees, for my family, you know, and everyone else that's not here at work. And so that's really something that I've been focusing on myself, but also teaching my students that as well, right? Like, you know, yes, we're in a different era or different world right now. So it's important that you are whole so that when you are beginning to apply for jobs, you know, you're not going into the job at 50% and already halfway burnt out because you've given so much during your undergrad time. And so I've been trying to model that for my students as much as I can during this time as well.
That's really, really cool, Harry. That idea of modeling what we're pouring into others. And you're right, you can't do that unless you are overflowing. Otherwise, you're giving all from yourself. I think so many of us as individuals have been there. I feel like that way for myself at home right now with my kids. Like if I am burnt out and I come home, well, then they're not going to get what they deserve, what they need. And you're
sure.
You know, like it has to be, we have to take that time to intentionally take care of ourselves if we're going to also then take care of our students and model it for them as well. That's fantastic. Harry, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate you being here with us. We do need to do one last thing. Harry, for those watching, is fantastic on Instagram and anywhere on social media in terms of checking in with his people. He's wonderful at that. But Harry's also famous for taking lots of pictures and selfies with his drink. And I think while we were doing the Harry Titus challenge, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So we're gonna do one together so I can screenshot this and share it later, right? So we got to take a drink out of it. That's the Harry Titus challenge. Screenshot that and share it later. Harry, again, thank you for being with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Everybody, keep chasing the awesome life. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, Nick.
Got it, man.
All right, man.